So for lesson 22 of module 2, percent increase and decrease, hopefully you were able to watch the video for this. If not, we'll explain it throughout the lesson. So for percent increase and decrease, it's actually very simple. All you are doing is trying to figure out whenever a price increases or decreases, you just want to find by what percent of the original amount did it increase or decrease. So to do that, you just find the difference in the amounts, meaning you subtract. And then after you subtract the amount that you have left over or the difference, you're going to divide it by the original amount. And normally what's going to happen is that amount is given to you as a decimal. So similar to what we did in lesson 20, you're going to multiply by 100 to figure out what that number is as a percent. So for number 1, it says that Maya increased the price of her tacos. So the original price was $1, and then she moved it up to, or she increased the price to $1.50. And then the same thing for the shrimp taco. The original price was $3, and then she increased the price by $3.75. So the start of these two equations are actually set up for you so that you don't get a negative number. I always take whatever the biggest number is. I start with the biggest number and then subtract the smallest number. That way you don't get a negative number or a negative percent. And then the only part that you want to be careful of is making sure that your original amount is the amount that you started with. So the amount that you had before the increase or the amount that you had before the decrease. That should always be your denominator. But for number 1, you are going to do this next part on your own. So you you subtract, and then you divide the amount that you get for your decimal. You multiply it by 100, and that is going to give you your percent for the beef taco and for the shrimp taco for number 1. And then the price change of the blank. So was it the beef taco that had a greater percent increase, or was it the shrimp taco that had a greater percent increase? Whichever one that is, you're going to fill in the blank, writing this full sentence and filling in the blank. So the price change of the blank has a greater percent increase. For number 2, this one partly is done for you, so just make sure that you have it down. But for this one, it says that they've given us the percent that we're going to increase by. So she has salsa that's $1.75, and then she's going to increase it by 20%. So you'll see that when she increases it by 20%, it is equal to 35 cents. So that means her original price of $1.75, she's going to increase it by 35 cents. So what is going to be the new price for her salsa? So you figure out what that is, and then just answering this question here, filling in the blank, Maya should set the new price to be what amount now? Number 3, similar to number 1. So we've got the original price of $2, Maya raised the price of her vegetarian taco from $2 to $2.25. So we are going to subtract 225 minus 2, and then the original amount was $2 before she increased it to 225. So you're going to subtract and then dividing by the 2, whatever your decimal is, multiplying it by 100, and then you will get your percent, and then answering in a complete sentence for number 3. Going on to number 4, it says the total cost for 5 bean tacos, including the sales tax, is $13.50. If each taco costs $2.50, what is the percent increase due to the sales tax? So for us to figure out what the original amount is for this one, we just have to figure out how much 5 tacos cost if each taco is $2.50. So you would do $2.50 times 5, and whatever you get for that amount, that is going to be your original amount. Now you know that the $13.50 is your new amount. So for your difference in amounts, you're going to do the $13.50 minus what the total was for the 5 tacos originally. And then you're going to divide by your original amount, which was the price for your tacos before tax. When you get your decimal, multiplying by 100, you have your percent, and then answering our question here in a complete sentence. For number 5, the exact same thing, your difference in amounts. So you're going to subtract, and your original amount for this one is the amount of customers that Maya had on last Tuesday. So last Tuesday was her original amount of customers, and then the following Tuesday is her new amount of customers. So make sure that for your original amount for number 5 that you have 84, answering in a complete sentence for that part. And then for part B, it says Maya wants to have 5% more customers next Tuesday than she had this Tuesday. How many customers does she need to have to meet her goal? So for this one, it's not a price increase or decrease. You were just finding out what 5% of 122 is, and finding out what that is. You're going to fill in the blank here. And then for this part, you were just going to add the 122 plus the amount that you found here. That's what's going to go here. And then that is equal to this amount here. And this is how many customers Maya wants to have to meet her goal for the next Tuesday. For number 6, to find your difference in amounts for this one here, your amount in August subtracted by your amount in September is going to be the amount that you have reduced the amount of electricity by. This is kilowatt. KWH is kilowatts of electricity. And so Lily's family reduced their electricity usage by this many kilowatts. So this one isn't a percent. This is just basic subtraction for this first part. For part B, it says by what percent did Lily's family reduce the electricity usage? So the difference in amounts that you found for part A, that is what is going to go here. And then your original amount, which is your amount that you found in August, that is what is going to go here. Then you do your regular division, multiplying by 100, and you have your percent. And for part C, it says that last month Lily's school used 70,520 kilowatts of electricity. This month, the school makes a goal to reduce electricity usage by the same percent. So they want to reduce it by 5%. So for this one, since we want to reduce, you'll see that we actually have subtraction here. So you're going to figure out what 5% of 70,520 is, and that's what's going to go here. And then you're going to take your 70,520 minus the percent that you found here. That is what's going to go here. So that amount here is going to go here, and what that's equal to here, and then answering your complete sentence for this one. So how much energy or how much electricity is the school going to use if they reduce it by 5%? For number 7, these are just different household items, and we are trying to use less electricity for each of these items by finding a more energy efficient model, meaning that you want to find a light bulb that uses less energy, because the less energy you use, the less it's going to cost. So you've got a light bulb, a washing machine, and a dryer, and all of these that you see in this first column here are their original amounts of electricity usage. So all of these items use a lot of electricity, which is going to in turn mean you're spending a lot of money. So we want to find a different version of all of these items that are going to use less electricity, so that we're spending less money when we're paying the electric bill for each of these items. So for each of these, for the light bulb, your original amount is going to be 110. For the washing machine, your original amount is going to be 102. And then for the dryer, your original amount is going to be the 511. So remember, for the first part in your numerator, you are just subtracting. Make sure you do the bigger number minus the smaller number, divided by what the original amount is, multiplying by 100 to figure out what your percent is for each of these for number 7. And then for number 8 and number 9, for number 8, you are just trying to figure out what X is equal to for this one. So you have, it says a salesperson that is replacing an old refrigerator with a new energy efficient refrigerator reduces electricity usage by 75%. So that means that we are only using 25% of the original amount. So the new refrigerator uses 350 kilowatts of electricity per year. How much energy does the old refrigerator use per year? So we are finding out, our equation is X times 25% is equal to the 350. And so for this one, we are dividing by 25 hundredths on both sides to figure out what X is equal to. And then that is going to help us figure out how much energy the old refrigerator used to use. And then for our last one, number 9, they have the equation set up, and the original amount is $11,587 gallons of water. And then after that, the family reduced the amount of water they were using. It went from 11,587 to 10,630 gallons of water. And so Dylan is trying to figure out by how much was there a decrease, but there is a mistake that he has made. And I've highlighted it in hopes that you actually recognize the mistake that he made, and then being able to explain why Dylan's value is actually incorrect. So I'm actually giving you a hint with this one. He is incorrect because of something that has happened right here. Seeing if you can figure out what it is. And if you haven't figured it out yet, it is that he made the new amount the original amount instead of the 11,587. That is the original. So that is what should be in the part that is highlighted in green. He did the subtraction part correctly, but he did not use the correct original amount, which threw off his percentage. So you're actually going to find out what the correct amount is supposed to be using what the original amount should be, and then explaining why Dylan was incorrect. But for lesson 22, this is how you figure out your percent increase and decrease.